Pauline Wanje. She is not new to us. She has had the other sessions. Pauline is a counselor at the university, at the Pan-African Christian University. But in addition to that, she's a student. She's pursuing her doctorate in clinical psychology at USIU. But she's a graduate of MA in marriage and family therapy, and also a BA in counseling psychology. Currently serving at the Family Life Connect Counseling Center. So Pauline, we are happy to have you today, and we are looking forward. I trust that will be a beautiful session. So over to you, Pauline.
Thank you, Catherine. I hope everyone is well. Good evening once again. Like she has just introduced myself, my name is Pauline. I want us to look into relationship, and our topic was relationship killers. But maybe before we get into what kills the relationships, I think it would be important to say that we shall be looking into relationships dynamically, because relationships are dynamic. And as a marriage and family therapist, I know that a family is made up of subsystems that makes the whole system of a family. So once in a while, I will talk about spousal subsystem. I will talk about siblings subsystem. I will talk about parent-child subsystem. Today is Teens Tuesday, and once in a while again, I will give examples relating to teens. But allow me again, because we are saying if one system is sick, then all the systems are sick. So I shall be crossing over from one system to the other. So I wish to welcome all of us to this session. I hope we shall exchange learning and learn from each other. And I think God is going to bless us. So if you allow me, let me share my slide. So like just talked about, when I prepared these slides, in my mind, I was thinking about talking about emotional intelligence among women, but because we are mixed up, I will talk about all types of relationships and see what kills these relationships. I don't know what comes into your mind when you think of relationship killers. Take a minute or two and think about at least two of relationship killers, because we are talking about relationships and we are saying we'll be looking into relationships dynamically. So think about two relationship killers. And if I can allow, Catherine, if you allow me, we allow 2 or 3 people to just give us their feedback on what they think kills relationships.
That's okay. Anybody can go?
Good evening, Pauline. Good evening, Catherine.
Good evening
Yes.
to you.
I think relationships are being killed by differences. If people, they have different ways of seeing things, or different norms, or different values, it leads to argument. And when there are arguments, it leads to differences. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. Everybody
Good evening.
else?
Yeah.
Good evening, Pauline.
Good evening, Fespas.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to see
Nice
you.
to see you. Thank you too. Relationship killers, one I'll say is selfishness, and the other thing I'll say is ungenuineness. Thank you.
Thank you, Fespas.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Sister Grace.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at lack of trust and commitment.
Thank you, sister.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good
Hello.
evening. Good
Pam,
evening.
we can have Pam go. Yes, first.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Myself, I look at poor communication, because you would find in every relationship, be it parental, be it marital, be it mutual, or even social relationships, where there is no communication, that relationship does not work out. So for me, I find communication being a pillar of every relationship. So if there is no communication, that means that relationship is killed.
Thank you, Pam.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Samuel. You can go ahead.
Yes, I think one of the main relationship breaker or killer is lack of commitment. And for commitment is you may not have the best person around you, the best parent, the best, soulmate. But when you commit to that person, it is supposed to work. But now I think we either have the wrong expectations, or rather we have no commitment at all. So at the end, it dies a natural death.
Thank you, Samuel. Catherine, if you allow me, we can go back to our slides.
Yes, and could I read a few, Pauline? Just a few,
Yes,
just
please.
to sample. Many came on the chat.
Yes.
Some have been said, but I see Josephine talks of lack of understanding of one another, personality differences, unmet expectations. Somebody talked about distance, that is physically and emotionally. Lack of trust, unresolved issues. We have many responses that have come on the chat. We can keep them coming, but I take it back to you, Pauline. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to agree with each one of us who has contributed to what we are discussing. And there are many relationship killers or things that pull down our relationships, but we shall see as we move along. A research that was done sometimes back in North America on psychosocial perspective on marital distress among couples indicated that the following problems divide couples. I keep telling myself, I'm really curious to find what a Kenyan Sunday would produce. And these are some of the things that we are saying. But in North America, they found these 10 basic problems that kills or divide couples. And number one was communication breakdown, which majority of us are talking about, lack of communication, loss of shared goals and interests. When we get into relationships, when we get into a marital relationships, we are coming from an individual perspective where we have shared goals and interests. But when we get into the relationship, we don't pull them together as a couple. There is sexual incompatibility. Remember, this is marital distress. There is infidelity, excitement and fun gone from relationship, that we as a couple, again, we don't have fun. And someone says, and maybe you've heard of people say that when you see two people driving along the streets of Nairobi in a car and they are exchanging laughter and they are having a nice moment, that might be not a person, a man and his wife. Number 6, the Americans found that money is a contributing factor to couple distress, conflicts over children, alcohol and drug abuse, in-laws, and women's rights issues. So I don't know how a Kenyan study would look like. Maybe for those of us who are professionals here, those of us who are interested in research, maybe this could be a nice one to do and find out what brings relationship distress. Like I've said, I will be talking, as I share the slides, I will be talking about emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is very key. And allow me to pull down this. And we are saying emotional intelligence is that ability to identify, use, understand, and manage emotions in positive ways to relieve stress. That ability to understand, to identify, number one, your emotions, to use them appropriately, understand them, and manage those emotions in ways that would relieve stress. Like, for example, in this COVID-19, we are saying there are diverse emotions that we are going through. So understanding them, using them, and managing them to be able to reduce or relieve stress. Again, emotional intelligence helps us communicate effectively. We are talking about what gives relationship, and lack of communication is one. When we are emotionally intelligent, we'll be able to empathize with others. Today is Teens Tuesday, that when a parent is emotionally intelligent, they will be able to empathize with their teenagers. They will be able to feel them. Again, we shall be able to overcome challenges as families. Whatever challenges we are going through at this pandemic, we shall be able to overcome them when we are all emotionally intelligent. And finally, we shall be able to diffuse conflict. So we shall be looking into emotional intelligence as we move along. When I shared sometimes back on Masculinity Monday, we talked about the 5 crucial competences of emotional intelligence, which we said one is self-awareness, very key, self-regulation, very key again, social skills, empathy, and motivation. We shall be looking into this as we go on. Somebody said, and remember, my presentation is based on emotional relationship killers and the power of emotional intelligence among women. So somebody said that if all women took their rightful place and do it right, relationships would stand the everyday challenges, marriages and families would be strong. I don't know what your views are, but this is someone who looked at it and said that if all women took their rightful places and did everything right, then the relationship would start the everyday challenges. Marriages and families would be strong. This morning or yesterday, there was some discussion about those ladies that are over 35 and married, and those of us who are in that forum or WhatsApp group. You will imagine how the discussions went on. But we are saying if women took their rightful places, then relationships would be strong. I want us to watch a little video here, and maybe after we are done, I would want to invite a few of us to give our views. So allow me to stop sharing this and go to the video. Can we hear it?
Not yet.
Just a minute. Are we there?
Hi, Pauline.
Yes.
Not as yet, eh? Yeah, please share your screen.
It's not audible.
We can't
can you
even see your screen.
This is Boniface.
Please share your screen.
So,
Are you golfing today?
Yeah.
Are we there?
Yes, now we are good. Thank you.
Okay.
It's the second time this week.
But you said it was fine.
It is fine. It's perfectly fine.
Are you confused by female behavior? Wish you had a translator to understand what she means? Well, you're in luck. Introducing the Manslater, a revolutionary device that translates woman language into simple man words. Finally, the power to know what she means.
Okay, cool. Let me just check with my wife. Hey, babe, a tea time open up later. You mind if I go?
Fine. If that's what you want to do.
No go! Stay home!
On second thought, I think I'll just stay here with you and watch The Notebook.
Aw, how sweet.
Now that's more like it. The Manslater uses emotion deciphering technology to help you out of the toughest jams.
Hey, is everything okay? You sound upset.
Why would I be upset?
Forgot anniversary, sir.
Oh, no way. Happy anniversary, babe.
You remembered.
Come on, of course I did.
Thanks to the Manslater's patented FemLogic processing chip, now any man can decode statements like,
Are you wearing that?
"You change, now."
Hey, do you want to get some coffee?
Me want coffee.
Do you think she's pretty?
You think she prettier than me?
Aw, you're such a good friend.
Me never date you.
I'm fine.
Me not fine.
I'll be ready in 5 minutes.
Me ready 30 minutes.
Do whatever you want.
You know do what you want.
Could you rub my shoulders a little bit?
No, hanky panky. Only massage. Be serious.
Yes, there we are. Hello.
Yes, yes, Pauline.
Yes, I'm just curious what is going through the mind of our participants today? After watching that small video.
I think, Pauline, I would start us off. Yes, it's unfortunately a lot of truth. I especially picked the one on I'll be ready in 5 minutes, and you get ready 30 minutes after that. So just very interesting.
Hello.
Yes, Sister Florence.
Yeah,
Go
from
ahead.
that video, it looks like women's words don't seem to mean exactly what people hear. What we speak and what is inside seems to be in conflict.
I hear you, Sister Florence.
Because you hear somebody saying, I'm fine, and then inside they are not fine. Somebody forgot the birthday instead of saying, I'm not happy because you forgot my birthday. How are you fine? But right inside the person is burning.
Very true, and I think these were the expectations that we were talking about, and this could be what is killing our relationships, that our words do not match what we say. One research that was done sometimes back on communication found out that 7% of our communication are words, while 43% are feelings, and the remainder, which is 50%, is the body language. So if we just listen to the words, it could be misleading. I see people asking who made the translator, but I was just bringing this to bring us to where we are in our relationships and maybe probably understand what kills our relationships. So if you allow me, we go back again to the slides, but you see different love languages, different languages. One is saying that it's okay, you can go golfing. but inside the person is asking if only you could stay and we watch a movie together. Unmet expectations, lack of commitment, those are some of the things we have seen. So allow me to share the slides.
I thank you. Today is a good day.
Yes, today is a good day.
Yes.
Let's continue running together.
Somebody's having good time.
Can we move on?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So we've just seen the translator, and I see like I'm muted. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Pauline.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes, you are.
So we are talking of emotional intelligence, and we say that one of the competences is self-awareness, which is very key. And we are saying self-awareness is having that clear perception of your personality. Remember, someone said one of the things that kill relationships is the differences in personality. So once you are aware, you'll be able to manage your personality so that you can be able to empathize, so that you can be able to communicate effectively, so that you can say even what your needs, and you're saying you understanding your personality, including your strengths, your weaknesses, your thought process. Somebody needs to mute their mic. So we are talking of thoughts, understanding your thought processes. What is that keeps popping up in your mind? Your belief systems. What is that motivates you? And finally, your emotions, understanding yourself in terms of your emotions. And we are saying, because I had made this presentation with women in my mind, we are saying it's a key ingredient for successful women. Women who are self-aware don't tend to have a lot of drama in their lives. By contrast, we are saying they appear to have everything together. Women who are self-aware, they don't have a lot of drama. Go into the streets of Nairobi, go into the streets where you stay, and you'll see drama happening. Once again, once you understand yourself, you have self-awareness, you'll understand your life history, you'll know what triggers certain emotions in you. Like, for example, you'll understand your attachment needs and speak them out so that you don't leave your partner guessing or imagining what is that you're looking at. You'll understand your family of origin experiences, etc., etc. Again, with self-awareness, you create a daily habit of self-reflection. Like, for example, when you go from work in the evening, take time to reflect and ask yourself, why did the boss say I am A, B, C, D? Why did my child say that I'm this kind of a mother? Seeking again honest feedback, the Johari's window, for those of us who are familiar with Johari's window, is very key. Understanding your bright spots, understanding your private arena, and trying to understand what is in your unknown window will help you become more self-aware. We are talking of emotional intelligence, and we can't miss to talk about emotions. Dr. John Gottman talks about anger iceberg, but I want us to look at this iceberg not only through anger, even with other emotions. And he says that this is how emotions work. Often when we are angry, there are other emotions hidden under the surface. Today in the WhatsApp group again, one gentleman, Paul, said that anger is an acid that can do more harm on the vessel in which it's stored than anything on which it's poured. And I felt like this is a very powerful statement, that anger will destroy the vessel. Remember the cortisol that is produced when we are angry, the vessel that is stored, the vessel could be you, the vessel could be me. Other than destroying what is poured onto it. And we are saying, for us to be able to understand our emotions, let's look at what is being presented. What is the presenting emotion? It could be anger, it could be fear. What are the primary emotions underneath fear, underneath the anger? And we can see It could be that you are embarrassed, and because you can't speak it out, you become so angry. It could be that you are overwhelmed. It could be that you're going through grief. Yesterday, Moffat shared with us the deception of masculinity, and he was saying when all the doors are closed, when he shared with us the frustration cycle, that when all the doors are closed, the only door that remains open is the aggression. And you know, when aggression comes in, it could be maybe this person is feeling attacked. It could be this person is feeling annoyed. It could be that they are feeling hurt. It could be that they are so anxious. So understanding the primary emotions under the secondary emotions is key. What will be seen out there under the iceberg is the secondary emotion. So taking time, reflecting every other day, asking yourself, why am I so angry with this child? Is it because maybe I'm feeling like he's stepping my boundaries? What is that is making me so angry? So reflecting on the primary versus the secondary emotions is key into understanding our emotions. You could be a single mother, you could be parenting single-handedly, and we are saying for us to be emotionally intelligent and be able to be there for our children as a single mother, we need to accept responsibility. It said that successful single parents accept the responsibility and challenges of single parenting. They neither minimize nor exaggerate problems, but seek solutions. I've found some single mothers, and I really respect them because it's not easy to parent single-handedly, but some will exaggerate their problems without seeking solutions. So if you're a single mother, you want to be successful, then we are saying, and you want to maintain your relationships, you don't want to kill your relationships with your children, then we are saying you need to accept the responsibility of being a single mother. Number two, you need to be committed to family. Successful single parents make family their highest priority. Sometimes you go out, especially before Corona came, and then you go out in the streets of Nairobi and you're finding maybe some women that are just in the streets. And sometimes I keep asking myself, do they have small children? Others, you'll see them going into pubs, into social gatherings, very late in the night with their small babies. So what commitment is there? So as a single parent, if you want to be successful, we are saying you need to be committed to your family. You need to be there for your children. Sometimes we've really pushed our children too far. As a successful single mother, we are saying you need to manage your
Apple.
Successful single parents manage the family needs well. And especially now that we are in COVID-19, I really feel for single parents because I'm trying to imagine who are they sharing their burdens with. So if as a single mother, you're not there to manage your home effectively, then it will bring you down with stress. And finally, we are saying have a positive outlook on challenges. Successful single parents have a positive attitude towards parenting and life in general. So don't harass your children because maybe your husband left you. Remember, we said families are made up of subsystems. Maybe it's your spousal subsystem that never worked. Don't triangulate your child. Don't bring in your child and blame them for what happened in your spousal relationship. Have a positive look on challenges. And this way, you will be able to evade the relationship killers that we are talking about this evening. The other Monday, we talked about emotional intelligence among men. Just a reminder, I said I love Dr. Gottman and his theory, and he says that how a man understands and responds to a woman will determine his eventual wealth, his social status, his energy and motivation for life, his resilience, his mental and physical health, how well his immune system works, how well he copes with stress, his happiness at home and at work, his self-confidence, his friendships, his connection to his children, and how his children turn out, and actually how long he will live. This is if we are having an emotional intelligent husband, if we are having an emotionally intelligent father. This is what Dr. Gottman says. So I ask myself, have they, the men, gotten the opportunity to understand and respond to the woman? Yesterday, Moffat talked about a safe space for men. Do they have a space to express themselves and to respond and to understand these women in their eyes? Do they really need to have the translators? The translator that we've just seen? This is what we are talking about. What is killing our emotional, our relationships? This is a saying that each one of us maybe could have come across that says, behind every successful man is a woman. I say that I would want to say it differently, that I would want to say behind every successful, emotionally intelligent man, there is an emotionally intelligent woman. So what does it say? For us to bring up stable families, for us to be happy in our relationships, we all need to be emotionally intelligent. Could it be that we women, because again, remember my presentation was prepared in women in mind, could it be that we've been a hindrance to our own and to the significant others' physical and mental health well-being, killing our relationships slowly? The relationship killers that I will be talking about from Dr. Gottman's theory, and Dr. Gottman gets metaphor from the book of Revelation, the Bible, Revelation chapter 6, verse 1 to 8. And the Bible says, I will not read about all of it, but it says, I watched as the lamp opened, and the first of the seven seals. It's about the seven seals and 4 living creatures, the 4 relationship killers that I will be talking about. This is a metaphor that Dr. Gottman uses and says that when they are present in a relationship, then that relationship is doomed to fail, is doomed to die. Then I had one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like that, come. And the verses go on. Verse 8b says, they were given power over 1/4 of the earth to kill. I've underlined and bolded the word kill, by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. So when these 4 relationship killers are present in our relationships are doomed to die. So let's look at them and see what they are. And like I said, I will be jumping from a spousal relationship, parent-child relationship, siblings relationships, so that we can understand what these relationship killers are. Killer number 1 is criticism. Criticism is the first damaging process in a marriage, in a relationship, and is defined as attacking someone's personality or character, rather than a specific behavior. And it usually comes with a blame. The victim feels assaulted, rejected, and hurt. We are in lockdown, partial lockdown in our houses, and this could be a child who is maybe doing things that you're not pleasant about. And as a parent, maybe these are some of the things that you'll say. You never think about how your behavior is affecting other people. You are so stupid. Remember, we are saying criticism is not geared into attacking the problem, but attacking the person. And it usually comes with a blame. You never. And in fact, with criticism, we globalize issues. Never, using words like never, you always don't remember my birthday, you are always coming home late, you never do this for me. This is what criticism is all about. You can imagine what this child is going through. And you can see the mother, the energy that is being put to criticize this young child here. So we are saying that criticism is one of the relationship killers. If you want your relationship to succeed, then you need to avoid criticism like plague. Relationship killer number 2, defensiveness. Defensiveness, we are saying, is a form of self-protection that many of us deploy in the face of criticism and complaint. When you are criticized, the best that you'll do is defend yourself. And we are saying it can take many forms. In its simplest form, it's an act of making excuses for your actions or refusing to accept responsibility. Defensive people assume that their partners are judging them. Again, I've given an example of a couple. This is the husband who is asking the wife that he would really appreciate if they tried new things next time they make love, and see what the wife does. Oh, so you think I'm boring in bed? And what the husband is asking is that, can we try maybe new ways of connecting, new ways of making love? But the wife thinks that the husband is looking at her like she's boring in bed. So she doesn't take responsibility. She doesn't accept that responsibility. Oh, yeah, it would be nice if we tried. But she's making excuses. That's what defensiveness is all about. And we are saying, once you are criticized, in most cases, you'll want to defend yourself. Kira number 3, contempt. And Dr. Gottman says that contempt is like sulfuric acid on a relationship. It is that intention to insult and psychologically abuse the other person. Your words and actions are meant to hurt. Signs of contempt include insults, name calling, hostile humor, and mockery, body language that communicates disgust, such as eye rolling or sneering in a contemptuous way. You can see this person here. I don't know what comes into your mind as you see this photo. And we are saying contact during an emotionally charged conversation is the most damaging because the other person will feel like the relationship is not a safe place to be. Contempt is one of the most dangerous killers of relationships. I've had people say, or women say, because again, I'm basing my conversation on women asking their husband. So if husbands, if fathers were taught to line up, do you think you can be one of them? What kind of a husband do you think you are? And maybe she's saying this in front of children. Where does that leave this man? Where does that leave the dad? Where does this leave the husband? What kind of a husband do you think you are? With a lot of body language that shows content. So this is another relationship killer that we really need to avoid. Killer number 4, stonewalling. According to Dr. John Gottman, stonewalling occurs when one partner withdraws completely from an interaction. Often, stonewallers say that they are trying to be neutral and to keep an argument from escalating. But the message they said is that they don't care enough to engage. Stonewalling is expressing in a variety of different ways. It could be turning around and looking away. It could be giving your partner silent treatment. It could be physically leaving the room, or refusing to answer or talking about the issue at hand, or yelling at your child to stop the conversation. Majority of us have really built stone walls. The other day I had a couple in my office and they was telling me that it's been a month since they talked to each other. And I told them, I wish I was a fly on your wall, on your bedroom wall, just to see how you people interact. A month without talking to each other, you sleep in the same bed, you stay in the same house. I really would want to see how you interact. And that is stonewalling, silent treatment. It could be you're yelling at your child to stop the conversation because maybe it doesn't suit you. It could be turning around and looking away. And you remember, small children will ask you, Mommy, I'm talking to you. Please respond. Daddy, I'm talking to you. Kindly give me a response, because they know stonewalling is not good for relationships. So these 4 relationship killers, we need to really avoid them. And we are saying one is criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. In a nutshell, this is what we are saying. And if you allow me again, I share a small video of what is that we are talking about. Is it there?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, can't hear it.
Is it there?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Wow. Is it there?
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Predict with over 90% accuracy of how your relationship
Something
might be over.
Let's start with Pauline.
In this video, I'm going to tell you guys how to predict with over 90% accuracy of how your relationship might be over. There are 4 signs that some couples use when they fight to show that your relationship might be done. John Gottman was common signs when they fought. They were criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. If couples showed any of these characteristics or behaviors during a fight, he knew that the relationship was probably going to end. John Gottman named these 4 signs or behaviors the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in relationships.
Don't forget to take out the trash by the front door.
Yeah, okay. The first one is criticism. Criticism often involves the person attacking their partner instead of what they actually want the partner to do. So instead of saying, hey, I'd like you to take out the trash, it really bothers me and it makes my life more difficult when you don't, they say more things like this.
Josh, is that you?
Yeah.
You forgot to take out the trash today. I asked you to do one thing before you left. You're lazy. It's all about you.
Criticism often involves having you statements like you do this, you don't do that. You should use more I statements instead of saying you aren't good enough or you're too lazy. Say things like, it makes me feel upset and I'm overwhelmed and I have too much stuff to do and it helps me a lot if you are able to take out the trash for me. You can see a big difference between those two. The second horseman of the apocalypse in relationships is defensiveness. This is often the automatic response when people use criticism towards their partner. The partner often feels offended and they feel like they're under attack, so their natural response is to defend themselves. And why shouldn't it be? So oftentimes criticism leads to defensiveness, which looks like this. What are you even talking about? It's all about me. Why don't you take out the trash? You're so high strung, OCD, always want to clean everything. It's just trash. Like, why can't you take it out? The partner being criticized is really hard for them not to defend themselves. But once you realize you're being criticized, instead of defending right back, say, look, I understand where you're coming from. It hurts me when you call me lazy, but I will take out the trash. But next time I would like you to tell me instead of attacking me. The third horseman of the apocalypse is contempt. John Gottman said, this is the sulfuric acid of love and relationships. It is a thing that deteriorates the relationship.
It's one thing I asked you to do this morning before you left. I don't ask that much of you. You're lazy.
Oh my God.
All you do is think about you.
All I do is think about you. Yeah, I have to admit that contempt is often my favorite. Kind of love sarcasm, but it's really bad, so don't do it. The fourth and final horseman is stonewalling. Stonewalling often involves a person, well, like the name says, being like a statue or stone. They just don't say anything, and they're just so flooded with emotion that their response is to just shut off and leave. Oh my God.
No, it's one thing I ask you to do. It's like you don't even care anymore. You don't want to help me. It's all you do is think of yourself. Why are you like this? Why do you do this to me?
Stonewalling is definitely the worst of all the apocalypse because it shows complete apathy. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And with someone stonewalling, they've given up completely and they just don't care anymore. And often the partner's reaching and trying to get something out of them, but there's nothing. They're talking to a brick wall, and that is the most painful thing you can do to your partner. It's often the men that stonewall, but women can do it too. But it's usually the person who has more of an avoidant style of attachment. They're the ones that just don't care and they like to retreat when fights come. John Gottman actually had a really good ratio where he said every couple that stayed together had at least 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. So look at your relationship or past relationships and see if that ratio kind of worked for you. As always, I have a link in the description of more in depth about the 4 horsemen and different ways to repair your relationship and use repair attempts to fix things and to make your relationship work. Hope this video helped. Don't forget to click the link to subscribe.
Yeah, so there we go again. I don't know what your views are. Somebody needs to mute.
I think for me, hello?
Yes, Sister Florence.
Yeah, I think from what I've just watched, the whole language makes a whole, language makes a whole difference in communication. We may be saying one thing, but the way we present it will make a difference from the person who is hearing it and will be perceived differently. And therefore, it can either bring conflict or it can be very well received.
Thank you, Sister Florence. Yeah, Raif Pira's counseling is saying that they noticed like men do a lot of stonewalling. In fact, research have found that men will do 85% of their time in stonewalling. That's what Dr. Gottman's research showed. So we've just seen the 4 relationship killers in practice, and you can imagine the damage that this does into our relationships. It could be a spousal relationship, it could be a parent-teenager relationship. And you can imagine when you keep criticizing your teenager, what do you expect of them when they grow up? They are going to do the same thing. And this is what maybe Murray Bowen talked about, intergenerational patterns. What is that you are modeling to your teenagers? What is that you are modeling to your children? As you become contemptuous towards your husband, towards their father, what are some of the things that you are saying? So we need to be very careful. And at the end of the presentation, the person tells us that to avoid this, then we need to have a ratio of 5:1. We make emotional deposits in 5 as we withdraw 1, or maybe 1 withdraw further 5 deposits. So how well are you emotionally depositing in your children's relationships? So let's continue with the screen. Is it there?
Yes, it is.
So
Pauline, you can go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So we are looking at the remedy. What is the remedy? Now that we've understood the relationship killers, what is killing our relationships? So what is the remedy? And again, John Gottman gives us the remedy. Instead of criticizing, we are encouraged to complain. Instead of criticizing, complain. And we say critical, being critical, you are attacking the other person's character or the other person's personality. So complain, gentle startup, using I. If you listen very keenly into the two videos, there is a lot of you. You always don't remember anniversaries. You. You could be critical towards your child. You are always becoming rust in your class. You are always not washing dishes. You. So we are encouraged to start with a gentle startup, and we talk about your feelings. I statements, very powerful. I really don't like it when I asked you to go out to the trash and I've seen it there the whole day. I really would appreciate if you could help me. Gentle startup. Instead of contempt, we are encouraged to build a culture of appreciation. Instead of being contemptuous towards your husband, towards the father of your children, what kind of a father do you think you are? A father who does not even pay his kids' school fees. Instead, we are encouraged to build a culture of appreciation. I like the way you connect with your children. I really admire how you talk to your children, but I wish you would put more effort into supporting their education. I wish you'd keep more effort disciplining them. You've started with a culture of appreciation. You've started with an appreciation. Maybe it's a child that maybe you left the house in the morning and you instructed them to do one or two things, and you've found them that they have not done. Instead of attacking their self-worth with contempt, I like it when I see you doing your homework, but I don't like it by the fact that we had said that there's house chores to be done and you've not done them. You started with appreciating before you inform. And especially when you're parenting teenagers, we need to have this culture of appreciation before we inform, before we punish. It's very, very key. Defensiveness, we've seen, is victimizing yourself to ward off a perceived attack and reverse the blame. What do you expect me to do? And I am very retro. This is the father maybe who is not able to pay for his kids' education. What do you expect me to do? And we are the only one working. Instead of doing that, we are encouraged to take up responsibility, accept your partner's perspective. And this comes with emotional intelligence, and offer an apology for any wrongdoing. Like, for example, the husband that didn't take up the trash, instead of taking a defense mode, he could have maybe said, I'm sorry, I forgot, I'm sorry, I was in a hurry, next time I will remember to put the trash out. So instead of being defensive, take up responsibility. The other relationship killer is stonewalling, and we say this is withdrawing to avoid conflict. It's keeping distance. It's separating yourself from that conversation. It's yelling to your child to stop sharing what they are doing or sharing what they are saying. And we are saying instead, physiologically self-soothe. Take time to calm down. Take time, take a break to go and self-soothe so that you can be able to respond to whatever is happening around you. Stonewalling, instead of stonewalling, take time to self-soothe. It's very, very important. This way we shall be able to overcome the relationship killers. Remember, we are also talking about emotional intelligence, and we are saying one of the way to be emotionally intelligent and maintain your relationship is managing your stressors. Stress shuts down the ability to feel and think rationally. Learning to regulate stress is important in being able to be emotionally available. We've just seen, instead of stonewalling, because you are flooded, you take time to calm down, take time to reflect, take time to self-soothe so that you are not flooded with whatever is happening. Manage the stressors around you, and you cannot manage what you don't know. In fact, when we talk about stress management, point number one is to understand your stressors. You can't manage what you don't know. Maybe it's stress because financially you're not doing very well. Maybe you're so stressed because COVID-19 is seems to be here with us and it's not going anywhere. Your work, your businesses have been shut down. Maybe you're on a pay cut. Maybe you are on an unpaid leave and you're having a lot of stressors. Name them, identify them so that you can be able to work within what stressors you are going through so that you and remember today is Teens Tuesday. So this is mom. You can't go to that party. Son, I am going. I hate living here. Mom says, how dare you say that after all I do for you? Son, your mentor. I want to go live with dad. I imagine this is a separated family, a family maybe that separated. And mom says, it's as if your dad will ever deal with your spoiled, rotten behaviors. And you are the mentor one, not me. The relationship killers that we've just talked about. The son says, you're a control freak. My friends feel sorry for me. Your friends are delinquents. Not only can you not go to that party, you can forget going anywhere for the rest of the month. And by the way, I'm taking away your cell and your export. Self-regulation is very key. If we were to manage our relationships with our teenagers, if we were to manage our relationships with our spouses, if we were to manage those social relationships, then we need to be able to calm down. We need to be able to be emotionally intelligent so that we are able to regulate ourselves. Self-regulation. You can imagine what this mom is going. I look at this vein and you can imagine she's boiling. In fact, she's red. She's supposed to be white, but she's red because of anger. And we say, what is really making her angry? Like, for example, if we look back again to the iceberg, the anger iceberg, she's not angry because the son is asking to go to the party. Maybe she's angry because the husband left her. So understanding what is that is causing you stress will be able to help you manage your stressors. Managing conflict. Dr. Gottman again tells us that there are solvable and perpetual problems. We can't resolve everything in our relationship. Some problems are solvable while others will remain with us forever. They are perpetual problems. And Dr. Gottman discovered that in all conflict, the creation of constructive conflict management includes the development of the following 6 skills. So if you are to evade the relationship killers and manage our relationships effectively with our spouses, with our children, with our neighbors, we need to get to understand these 6 skills. Number 1, soft starter. Instead of criticizing, be gentle. I really don't like it when I go out and this is what you're doing. I really don't like this. I really don't enjoy when you go out and you don't come before the curfew. Number 2, accept influence. We said emotionally intelligent men and women will accept influence. Accept influence from your child. It could be that they are knowledgeable in that area that you are struggling with, that you're in conflict with. Accept influence. Number 3, make effective repairs during conflict. Dr. Gottman says if our relationships were to thrive, if our relationships were to see the next day, then we need to keep making effective repairs. Repairs, what do repairs look like? I am sorry, I forgot to take out the trash. You go out and you come and do a retro touch on the back of your son. I'm sorry I made you angry in the morning. This was not my intention. That's an effective repair attempt because we need to keep repairing relationships. And remember, conflict is, we can't avoid conflict. It's here with us, and we say relationships that are not, don't engage in conflict, they could be that maybe they are not real. De-escalate. Let yourself to calm down, de-escalate from the emotions that you're going through. de-escalate slowly so that you can be able to let your partner know what is that you're going through. And another one is psychologically soothing. Take time to self-soothe. Take time to soothe the other person. And finally, compromise. This way, we shall be able to manage conflicts effectively. Dr. Gottman says, from 100%, we can only resolve that 1% of our relational problems. 69% are perpetual problems, which could be as a result of personality differences, which could be as a result of lifestyle differences, which could be as a result of our family of origin experiences. So compromise, some things we need to compromise because we cannot change them. Like, for example, personality, you can't change the other person's personality. So you need to live with that person. It's a child that is so aggressive. Calm them down. If they can't change, learn to live with them and show them how to go about it. It's this spouse that keeps stonewalling because maybe his personality is that keeps off social cycles. So understanding your personality, understanding the personality of the other person will help us manage these perpetual problems which we cannot resolve. Self-motivation is another competence in emotional intelligence, and we are saying this is the ability to do what needs to be done without influence from other people. The use of humor. How do you motivate yourself? Do you think you deserve fun? And we are saying motivation can be external or internal. External motivation comes from outsiders. And especially sometimes we find women, we are not willing to do things that will give us humor. We are not willing to have fun. The other day I was facilitating a men's seminar, and one of the men said that whenever they take their women out, it causes more conflict. The intention was to have fun, but at the end of the day, they will have a lot of conflict. Why? Because majority of women will see, instead of us going to spend 5,000 in a hotel, how about us going, buying tea and bread and enjoying as a family? We need to motivate ourselves. We need to have fun. And the motivation needs to come from within us. We are saying intrinsic motivation is done for internal reasons. Do you think you deserve fun? Do you think you need to have humor in your life? Self-motivation is one of the competencies of emotional intelligence, and it will keep our relationships working. The other competence is empathy. This is the ability to understand other people's emotions. Instead of stonewalling, try to understand where this person is coming from. And we are saying empathy can only be achieved if self-awareness is achieved. You cannot be able to empathize if you are not aware of yourself. Goleman believes that one must be able to understand themselves before they can understand others. So empathize with that child instead of criticizing them. Remember the video we watched on Masculinity Monday? This father who is criticizing the son because of poor grades. And the father is really lamenting the amount of money he has spent on the photocopies and the studies and the tuition. Instead of yelling out, instead of criticizing your son, how about empathizing? How about you putting yourself into their shoes and trying to imagine how life is like for them, and even asking with curiosity, I'm curious, what made you get this very poor grade? What is happening in your life? Empathy is very, very key. When kids don't comply or they resist, we encourage not to argue. Don't argue. Don't advise. Don't preach. Don't lecture. Majority of us will want to advise. You know, in our times, these were things, the things were happening this way. You know, the Bible says, respect your mother and father. You know, you lecture. We are advised not to advise, not to preach, not to lecture. Repeat, don't repeat yourself. Don't nag. You know, I said this last time, and I won't keep saying this again. You know, I will not repeat myself again. And you can imagine the facial expressions in your children's faces, the body language. Don't get them to agree or accept your side. This is one mistake that majority of parents are making, that when you're not, when kids are not complying, when kids are resisting, you try to get them to see things from your own lenses. Don't do that. Don't get them to agree or accept your side. On Yvonne, you could see things the way I see them. You are different. Remember, we looked at personalities and we saw that we are different. Don't give ultimatums or threats. If you don't do that, remember the mother, remember this mother, that if he's not going to the party and she's going to withdraw the cell and the inbox, don't give ultimatums or threats. Don't explain or they are resisting. Tafadhali, don't argue, don't advise, don't repeat to yourself, don't get them to agree or accept your side, don't give ultimatums or threats, and don't explain or defend policy. You know things should be done this way, don't explain. Effective relationship is another competence in emotional intelligence, and this comes with social skills. And we are saying mastering the abilities of self-awareness, the attachment needs for you and for the significant others in your life. Self-regulation, self-motivation, and empathy will pave the way for training a greater skill in handling relationships. When we are aware of ourselves, when we self-regulate, we manage our stressors. When we motivate and we empathize, then we'll hit 80 because our relationships are going to work. Another thing that kills relationships, on top of the 4 relationship killers that we've looked at, are boundaries. To maintain effective relationships, we need to observe and respect boundaries. Another day, a parent asked me, is it okay for me to keep getting into my son's bedroom and ransacking it and looking into his things? I don't know what answer you could have given, but I said once in a while it's okay, because again, kids will abuse drugs in our own houses without our awareness, but don't make it a habit. Majority of parents don't respect boundaries. And if you do it, would you let the teenager know that, you know what, I was in your bedroom today and I was just checking on how it is that you're doing. Respect boundaries. In our spousal relationships, it's very important to respect boundaries. Violation of boundaries is another great relationship killer. And we will see with this image that comes next. And it's asking us, why check your partner's phone? Boundaries, we need to respect boundaries. Another day, a wife that is struggling with an attachment injury in terms of infidelity asked me, is it okay for me to check my husband's phone? And I was asking, if it becomes a habit, then you'll become an addict. You'll want always to check on your husband's phone. And remember, we see what we are looking for, the power of the mind. So if you're looking for cheating, you'll find it. Nowadays, words like dear, sweetheart, honey are really misused. So if you're looking to see whether your husband is cheating or your wife is cheating, and you're looking to see evidence, I'll tell you, for a fact, you'll find it. So let's observe boundaries. Remember that phone is an individual gadget. It's not a family gadget. Respect boundaries. Very, very important. So tips to becoming a better you, this is for all of us. Number 1, we need to forgive ourselves of past mistakes. We've made mistakes in the past. Maybe we've not parented our children in the right way. We need to forgive ourselves of the past mistakes. Number 2, we need to embrace our individuality and accept who we are. We accept ourselves the way we are. Embrace that individuality. Don't compete with your neighbor. Don't compete with your husband. Don't push your children to compete amongst themselves. Remember, they are all individuals. So accept your individuality and accept the person you are. Number 3, find your dream in life and pursue it. Like we said in the beginning, one of the relationship distress that was found in North America was loss of shared goals and interests. We had goals when we are getting into this relationship. You had your own individual dream. Don't sideline it. Don't leave it. Find your dream and pursue it. Majority of women have abandoned their dreams especially when they get into marriage. Maybe I dreamt of becoming a sign language interpreter. But when I get into this marriage, I'm so overwhelmed, I forgot my dreams in life. Don't do that. Find your dream and pursue it. Number 4, live up to your morals and values. Remember when we shared in the beginning, some of the things that some of you said that kills relationship, and especially Sister Florence said that it could be lack of trust and morals, that we've abandoned our values. Live up to your morals and values. Always remain aware of them. Number 5, be great to yourself. I quoted the Bible and the Quran because the Bible says in Mark chapter 12, verse 30 to 31, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. And the second commandment is this, love your neighbor as yourself. Sometimes we've loved our neighbors more than we do to ourselves. Sometimes we've loved our spouses more than ourselves. There is no other commandment greater than this. So you can't claim to love your the Quran says that none of you has faith until he loves his brother or his neighbor, what he loves for himself. So again, it starts, the Quran also is very clear that it starts with self before you go to your brother, before you go to your neighbor. So be great to yourself, treat yourself well, because none other person will treat you well. So take care of yourself, be great to yourself. Other tips, stay positive. Even at these very difficult pandemic times, stay positive. There is hope. Let's be positive, and we shall be able to manage our relationships nicely. Meet frustrations with love, especially when your child or your partner is yelling, when they are being contemptuous, when they are screaming and being critical of you, when they are acting out, surprise them. Be calm. Be calm. C, be cool down, self-soothe. Take time to self-soothe. Take time to understand where all this is coming from. So be calm, be cool, cool down. A, assess options. Will it be okay to continue with this dialogue in this conflict? Is it okay to postpone it to a later date? What are some of the consequences of postponing this? Be able to assess options. L, listen with empathy. Like we've just said, empathy is one of the key competences of emotional intelligence. Listen with empathy. Get to understand where this person is coming from. M, make a plan. It could be that your child is yelling, is acting out because they need you. They are looking for attention. It could be that they are feeling like you're so powerful a parent that they want to misbehave. So make a plan. It's the goal behind this misbehavior is power. Get to understand how you share power with your children. Number 8, get your family's opinion. It's always good. If you want to manage your relationships well, always get your family's opinion. How do you think about us moving from one estate to the other? What do you think about us changing this from this church to the other? Get your family's opinion before you do things. Number 9, support your husband's work, ambition, and vision, and treat him with respect. I know, especially for men, if you want your man to love you, respect what he does, respect his ambition, work with his vision, have a shared goal, have shared dreams. This will take your relationship to a higher note. Number 10, find time to rekindle your lost romance. In sex, in life, in your hectic schedules. For many mothers, sex is the last thing on their mind for a very, very long time. So find time to rekindle, go out for a date, If it's a child, go out, take your child, your teenager son out, treat them nicely. And this way, we shall be able to have nurturing relationships that will drive the times and the challenges that we are going on. And this comes to the end of my presentation. I want to invite questions and reflections. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Pauline. That was insightful. That was quite something, a lot to learn. So we are opening it up for anybody with a question. But we also have quite a lot that has come on the chat. I'll just pick a few of them. Pauline, there was a question that was asked here. What would you suggest I would need to do to offer support to a couple who have not verbally communicated in a year this May? They live together, they are both over 55 with grown-up kids. Yeah, I think this is a couple in their later years. They live together, but for 1 year, I don't know what that means. Maybe you could say something briefly about that. But I know we may not exhaust it, but you can say something about that. I see communication not happening for 1 year. They are over 55 years old. To you, Pauline.
Thank you, Catherine. And I'm imagining this is a therapist asking about a couple that maybe they are seeing that have not been communicating. Number one, it's very important for us to help them identify what led to their non-communication, what drove them where they are. So understanding what it is that drove them to where they are, I think that's the starting point, such that they can see. And now that we've known about these 4 relationship killers, it's always also good to psychoeducate them. Could it be that you have felt so criticized, and help them know the antidote to criticism? It could be a complaint. So working with them, understanding what is it that has led them to where they are, I think that's the beginning, and letting them see the dance, the negative dance that maybe they have been engaging, because it must have started somewhere. Sometimes I take couples to where they started, and I ask them, what is that got you attracted to your spouse? Because sometimes when conflict and stress gets into our relationship, we tend to forget the positive things. That's what we have just said. Stay positive. Look at the positive things. So I would encourage this person who is seeing this couple to help them understand what the problems are. Name them. That's what I would say. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Pauline. And there's another comment, but we are still open up for anybody who would want to share out. There's somebody making a comment here. I see as though men do more of the stonewalling, women have much more contempt, criticism due to speaking much more. I think that is somebody who made a comment. You have anything to say about that, Pauline?
Yes, research has shown that men withdraw or stonewall 85% of their time. That's what research has said. I don't know what research has said about criticism, but basically, even as a counselor, what I've seen, as a couple therapist, what I've seen, women are very good in criticism and contempt, eye rolling and sneering. They are very good at it, and that's what I would say. So again, how could it be if we did a study in Kenya and understand how these operate in our situations in couple relationships in Kenya?
Thank you. And just another question here. What about those who want to bottle up issues and they like postponing conflict resolution? Someone is asking. What about those who want to bottle up issues and they like postponing conflict resolution? You want to say something about that?
Yes, again, remember that one of the most crucial competences of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. It could be maybe this is their nature, their personality type, that they like bottling up. So creating awareness and helping them see it from a personality perspective. It could be maybe this is how they are, this is how they have been socialized. So understanding where they are coming from, again, self-awareness, creating self-awareness is very key.
Okay, thank you. And I think that does also answer a question that asked how you can deal with a child or a spouse who is using stonewalling as a means to deal with conflict. This is also open. I don't know, before we go to other comments on the chat area, anybody with a comment that was insightful, Pauline? We are opening it up.
Thank you. Maybe before we got to another respondent, just imagining a child who is used to stonewalling or a spouse who is used to stonewalling. We've said, first of all, take time to self-soothe. And instead of criticizing, complain. I don't really like it when I talk to you and you shut down. I don't like it when we are talking and you leave the room. Talk about it using the I statements. Maybe this is a child. I really would want you to open up to me. Let them know that you're concerned. Let them know that you've noticed that they are stonewalling. So that's some of the things that we can do to help those stonewallers to be aware of. It could be maybe they're not even aware that they stonewall. But when we create that awareness, they're able to be able to tell where they are coming from and maybe learn to speak out.
Thank you. Do you have anybody, before I can read more comments on the chat room? Anybody, any comments, any additions?
Hello.
Thank you all. Yes.
Hello.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yes, I have an experience with a friend of mine, where she had an issue with a spouse. And she wanted to, to have, a response from the spouse because she was seeking answers to, to the issue. And the spouse kept on postponing, the discussions and avoiding it. And until at one point, the spouse said, I'll answer you that next year, a year from today. How do you deal with a partner who is postponing a conflict for a year?
I hear you, Sister Florence, and I'm imagining that's not an easy place to be, especially when you're told to wait for a whole year to get a response. But again, we are saying it could be that maybe they are trying to self-soothe. Maybe this is a topic that they are not interested in. But again, speaking your frustration, using the I statements, helping that spouse speak out what they feel, because I'm imagining if I'm looking for a response and I'm told to wait for a year, then I will say I really don't like it, because how do we wait for a whole year to resolve this? So speaking out using I statements, but first of all realizing why is it that they are trying to stonewall, they are trying to keep off this conversation. Is it because maybe they are feeling overwhelmed? Remember the iceberg. Is it because maybe they are feeling embarrassed? How about you reaching out respectively for a response? How about using I statements? That's what I would encourage this spouse to do, because we don't know the goal behind this behavior of their spouse. It could be they are overwhelmed. It could be it's a topic that they don't want to talk about. But again, we need to resolve issues. Again, calming down, assessing options. Is it okay to keep pushing for an answer now? Or can I wait until things are looking nice, then I can ask the same question? Because again, sometimes we get into conflict because we want the here and now. We want to get answers right away. And you keep pushing your spouse, your partner, your child to give you assessing options and asking yourself, is it healthy to keep pushing for this now? Or can I give time and wait until we are good and I ask it? So that's what I would say, Sister Florence.
Thank you so much. Incidentally, the lady, was patient enough. I don't know how many of us would be that patient. And after a year, eventually she got the response, and she was amazed by the kind of response the husband gave on the issue.
Wow, wow. Again, patience comes in.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sister Florence. Many comments coming. Very powerful presentation, well researched. God bless you, Pauline. Well done presentation, Pauline. A lot of that coming in. But I have two I'll pick and pass to you. One asks, that's Wanje, what would be done instead of argue? And maybe you can answer that with somebody, Anastasia, who asked, what does calm means? I think we are able to combine the two.
Calm, I've just responded to calm. Someone asked. It's C is cool down. Take time to self-soothe. Take time to psychologically be fit to engage in this talk. Cool down. A, assess options. What are the issues? What is that we are fighting about? Is it okay for us to continue speaking now, or can we postpone? And L was listen with empathy. And we said empathy is a very powerful skill. And finally, make a plan. If you've been told to wait, like Sister Florence is sharing with us, you've been told to wait for a whole year for a response, make a plan. Maybe you don't need to push this again, assuming maybe they were talking about moving out. You can wait for a whole year because, again, you have choices. So calm, cool down, assess options, listen with empathy, and make a plan. When we talked about don't argue, we say don't advise, don't lecture, don't preach. And number two, we said, I don't know whether we could go back to that again. Because I felt like Anastasia was asking about that. That's right, that we talked about don't argue when kids don't comply. And this is what we were saying. Don't repeat yourself. You know, as mothers, especially mothers, we are victims. We keep repeating. Last year I said, last week I said, don't keep repeating yourself. And you can imagine, I wish you would look at the body language of your children, especially when you're repeating yourself, and the body language that the gestures that they make in their faces. Don't get them to agree or accept your side. It's about them. Listen with empathy. Don't get them to agree. You know, at times we used to do ABCD, so you're expected to also do the same. Don't give ultimatums or threats. Especially when you are using threats, especially when you're parenting teenagers, I'm telling you, you'll be so frustrated as a parent. Don't give ultimatums. I will buy for you this when you start doing ABCD. Don't give ultimatums, and don't explain or defend policy at the time of conflict. That's what we are saying. Assessing options. Is it okay to defend your point of view now? Will it escalate or will it de-escalate the conflict? So don't explain or defend your policy at that time of conflict. Anastasia, I don't know whether your question is answered.
Yes, I believe it's well answered. I know we have gone up past 7:30, but I'll pick a few others. Lots of appreciation coming. Good presentation, Pauline. But there are two questions that I wish you'd look into before I give Samuel Kanja a chance. Alice says, good presentation, Pauline, but your presentation is one-sided for those families that have husband and wives. What about those in single relationships? I know you briefly talked about that, but you could add on to that. And I wish to tie that with the would culture differences affect the relationship? I think that's just the diversity of the families. So whether culture differences affect relationship and how this will be handled in those single relationship families. Back to you, Pauline.
Thank you. Yes, I briefly talked about single parenting, and we looked at how, as a single parent, you can ensure that your relationship with your kids lasts long. But I will say, especially with the four relationship killers, what Gottman calls the four horsemen of apocalypse, they cut across relationships. Especially with criticism, you'll find parents criticizing. We'll find parents defending their position. So it cuts across whether a two-parent relationship or a single-parent relationship. So these relationship killers will cut across all relationships. Culture, yes, because we started by saying relationships are very dynamic and they are affected by so many other things. Culture, values, personality differences. And we can't we can't ignore culture because again, how we are cultured in our family of origin will affect. And remember, culture is not ethnic. Culture could be this is the way your things were done in your family of origin. That's a culture. It could be maybe this is where you were brought up. If you're brought up in a densely populated area, you have a different culture from those of us who are maybe brought up in a sparsely populated area. So culture cuts across, and it's very important, even as we relate with couples, even as we help families, even as we work with individuals, to understand from what training tells us from a bio, psychosocial, spiritual, cultural perspective. Where is this person coming from culturally? Where is this person coming from spiritually? Where is this person coming from biologically? So bio, psychosocial, cultural, spiritual perspective is very key so that we incorporate all the aspects that affect relationships.
Thank you, Pauline. And now I'll give a Samuel Kanja. You're there? Just
Hello, yes, I'm here.
to make your remarks. Yes, please go ahead.
Actually, it's a quick question. I've actually noted that we, the counselors, sometimes talk about personalities. It's something that I've had even Pauline talking about it. I've had it with many counselors that maybe their personality, that's how they are. You know, you need to understand that. And I can imagine how many people know about personalities. Not everyone is a psychologist or a counselor. And so, in a layman's language, it's not easy for people to get into another person's personality, and maybe they can only check what they are behaving outside and then judge from that. Now, my question is, should it not be an individual responsibility of the party which has maybe not so good personality to be responsible of their weak parts of their personality? Otherwise, if we go around saying, that's me, that's the kind of a person I am, I think sometimes it's so hurting. And I'm saying this because I feel if you give this analogy of like when you knock a vehicle from behind, regardless of the mistake that the person in front did, you remain the one who is responsible. The person may have been at fault, meaning your personality may be faulted, but you should be responsible for the accident, the person who is